1212 Merritt Drive in El Cajon. Going to go ahead and do a quick inspection. This is Ian with Build Brothers. We've got a concrete tile roof. Common misconception that this is clay. No, this is in fact made out of concrete. Each of these tiles weighs about 10 pounds. It is a full weight concrete tile, and so it's actually really strong. This is a pretty common crack that happens on these tiles, and surprisingly there's very few of them that have that crack. Sometimes I get on this type of tile, we call this a Malibu shape, and sometimes I get on a roof like this and every other tile has that crack. There are also some that have a big crack right down the middle like that. Again, pretty common, and very few actual broken tiles on this roof. This roof, I'm on the second story, master suite above the garages. And it's a very simple roof. There's not a ton of detail to it, which means there's not a ton of vulnerability to it. This is called a gable shape, and very few penetrations or flashings or anything like that. We got the skylight over there. The install does look professional. It is old. The waterproofing underneath the tile is bad, and it's time to replace it. It does not have drip edge. I'll show you that on a different part of the roof. But this is a nice little detail. Sometimes these seams right here are lined up, and the fact that they staggered those is a good sign on this roof. Check that out. I found a chunk of a cell phone, half of a cell phone. All right, let's get over to the skylight. I'll show you something interesting there. Will this roof last a couple more years? Yeah, most likely. Is it in good enough condition to install solar on? No. This is the ideal roof plane for solar. So one option would be to just re-roof this section where we're going to load up all the solar panels. And then on a roof like this, we can kind of work section by section where, we reuse the tile, we replace the waterproofing underneath the tile. And then, hey, let's say 3 years from now, you have a leak over here. Then we do this side, and then so on and so forth. Anyways, let's keep looking. For the most part, this skylight looks okay. It's pretty obvious that water will run down next to the skylight. Well, that water goes onto a piece of flashing called a tile pan. There's no nail, and the adhesive had failed there. There's the tile pan. The tile pan is supposed to come back up on top of the tile. So any of that water that runs over here comes back up on top of the tile. There's so much crap in there that it's diverting water in ways it's not supposed to go. And B, the tile pan has not come back up on top of the tile. So I would expect to find some rotten wood and some issues around this skylight. It's not working properly as is. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut and get on the lower section of the roof. I'm now done on the lower section. I'm gonna work quickly because I'm losing daylight very fast, but considerably more problem areas on this lower section than on the higher section. Some of that is probably because there's been potentially people walking around down here, and just in general more issues. First of all, what we call roof to wall flashing is missing, and that's been missing ever since this addition, or the second story, was built. So that's never been done right. That piece of flashing needs to be added sooner rather than later. Same issues with the tile pans next to the skylights. They are full of junk and they are not working properly. We've got these mortar flashings. Those were used back in the day and they lasted a good 25 or 30 years. Then they start failing, as these are probably failing. I did find some termite damage. I'm assuming you've already seen that in the report, and it is a big fascia. Fascia is that piece of wood the wood detail that you see just underneath the tile. The bigger that piece of fascia, the more expensive it is to replace. We got a lot of broken tile down here. So there's one there, and basically as I walk around this roof, the more I look, the more I find. It might be hard to make out in this lighting, but there is quite a few broken tile on this roof. This tile was completely shattered in little chunks, and if we get a close look in there, that's what this roof looks like underneath the tile. all over the place with all the trees and stuff everywhere. That's obviously bad. Yeah, this is an active leak as we speak. Whether it's showing on the inside or not, it's possible that not enough water is actually, I find that hard to believe, but I mean, because that's exactly how I found it right there. So there might be a chance that it's just not showing on the inside, but that is an active leak. Whirlybirds, we don't really like those turbine style vents. We'll replace those. I don't know why they bothered gluing that one tile back in place. There's a little bit of white adhesive on that. There's just broken tiles, quite a few of them. Over here, we've got a couple really vulnerable locations. The chimney most likely needs to be reflashed. We have the transition from a steeper section roof to almost, a very low slope roof, and that creates problems on tile roofs. We got to take some extra waterproofing precautions when we've got a tile roof that is that low slope. The house does kind of a dog leg right here, creating this little, what we call it, it's kind of a valley, but it is problematic also. And what else? I saw something over here that caught my eye, and it almost seems like a little sinking. None of these tiles are sitting correctly. I kind of wanted to stay away from the area just in case it's rotten plywood underneath the tile. But it actually feels pretty sturdy. There's that very typical crack or chip that we see. If you don't walk on these tiles correctly, that can happen. I don't know why there's such a high concentration of them in this area. But yeah, again, is it time? Yes. Can it be done section by section? Sure, it can be, because this is a lot of roof.